Okay, well, I typically would want to channel a message from the comfort of my home, but I am being reminded that I actually channel best when I'm driving or on a walk. And on a walk with a camera would be a little cumbersome. So, channeling, it's interesting. I still don't know exactly why it's more fluid for me to channel while I'm in some type of movement, even if I'm just sitting while moving, because that you'd think it would be my own energy machine that would be propelled to help the energy flow with me, but I think just motion itself helps, and I've heard this from other channelers, so it's nice to be validated indirectly without knowing anything about anything. I've never had to explain this to somebody before doing it. I usually just record it in an audio recording. Sometimes I send it to close friends of mine or other channelers I know, and then I get confirmation that they've seen similar things, and it's really exciting. When I first started channeling consciously, because I channeled unconsciously for a very long time, consciously channeling, at the beginning of my awakening process, I would go on walks constantly and I would channel by just the imagery I was seeing in my head, but I wasn't recording it. And then I would, like, for half my walk, take in a vision that was extensive, and then on the rest of my walk I would start recording what I saw. So it was kind of like an unnecessary extra step, and but it was the way I was, I guess, comfortable with it at the time. Part of me had a lot of fear that if I channeled with just my voice in real time, that I would suck at it, I guess, or I was a little afraid. By a little, I mean definitely afraid that I would sound weird too, because I'd never voiced it in real time, just seen it. And so I've seen channelers channeling and their voice changes, and I was like, oh, I don't want to sound like an idiot. And just for me too. So, like, why does it matter? But our egos are what our egos are. Doesn't necessarily have to make any logical sense. You can be embarrassed, like, by yourself. So all that being said, now you're like, what's she gonna sound like? There's a famous channeler, the being he channels is named Bashar, and Bashar, he sounds a little more energetic than the gentleman who channels him when he's speaking. He sounds like, a different person. Even the voice sounds different. The cadence is always different when people channel. I do both. So I'll channel a voice, which is different from each source I'm channeling from. Like, some goddesses, typically there's like a lag in my channel, like a processing lag. So sometimes it will just stop and I have to wait for it to buffer, kind of. It's weird. Other times it's moving so fast that I can barely get the words out. So I don't know. Other times I just see images and then I say what I'm seeing. It could be any number of things. So I'm driving right now. I have like a 20-minute drive home. And being that some of the things I channel are very advanced spiritual things involving, like, dimensions and concepts that require a lot of foundational backstory, I usually set an intention of what I'm wanting to tap into. And when I do that, I would say for me, it's really good to have like a clear channel of protection, acknowledge that what I am going to channel is for the highest good, and that like there's no manipulation. Because really, when you open up yourself as a vessel, you can definitely catch things that aren't awesome, and I have no interest in that. I only want to work with higher beings. I don't even really want to channel dead people, because that's lower dimensional unless they've gone over to the other side. So I don't really want to do that. A lot of people, that's the dimension they work in, is just working with the dead. I have, but I'm not interested in that right now. I speak more to higher dimensional beings that are just of the light, and they're not going to mess with my channel. They're not going to mess with my energy. And I'm in a state where I'm fairly protected all the time. But if that's not the case for someone who's just starting to do this, it's really important that you make sure that you're your channel is clear. And what I would do for that, when I started channeling while I was walking in the evenings, while I would just see visions and then dictate them to my phone, would be I would clean out my chakra system first. And I'm gonna describe that in detail, and then I'm gonna probably just channel a short message of some kind on my drive home. So when I clear my chakras, it's really important to do that so that your message doesn't get distorted. So think about if you are kind of gunked up in your energy channels, it is entirely possible that pedestrians matter. It's entirely possible that what you'll see or hear is going to be distorted, like a kaleidoscope or a fun house. So you want it to be clear. You don't want it to be bent. You don't want it to be like distorted, like in a prism. You want the message you get to be clear. And a great visual for that too is like water is representational of emotion in the spiritual world and just in general, but like water is emotion. So if you were ever a kid in a pool trying to retrieve one of those like weighted batons or something, rings at the bottom of the pool as a game, you know that like going to lunge for that ring or whatever, you'd maybe reach for it and it would be like a little to the left because it's distorted. And so in the spiritual world, when we say that emotion or water distorts things, isn't that true? Like when you're very emotional in an argument, it can distort the facts to where you feel like something is happening that is maybe not happening. Like, oh my God, you're totally cheating on me. When really you're just very emotional and you're feeling fearful, and that emotion is distorting the messaging you're getting, where you see your partner looking at their phone a lot. You're like, they're definitely cheating on me. When really they're just like, I don't know, getting a text that their labs are ready from their doctor's office. It's the distortion of the emotion taints the validity of the message that you're getting. And so if you are distorted when you're getting a message, see, people will say that they've channeled the same source, but they have different messages. And typically those messages are different because of the lens that they were seen through. Like on Instagram, there's all the different filters you can look at something through. And I'll tell you, some of it makes me look a lot older than I am, or a lot younger than I am, or a lot more pale, or way more tan. They're distorted. And so if someone was looking at me with one filter versus another, they could say I'm 30 years old, and another would be like, dude, she's like 50. And that's a big difference, right? It's because the filter is so different. And so it's really important, if you want to get the best message possible, that you're going to clear out whatever gunk you have stuck in you from just like getting pissed off in traffic the other day, or your mom called you and you've got so much baggage with her that you're just like stewing on it and it's getting stuck in your body. So the bottom chakra, and I'm gonna say how I do it with like one chakra, and then you can assume it's like I go through all of them. And at first, this would take me half my walk actually, would be to like clean out my chakra system to channel something, and then the channel would be like 5 minutes long before I'd be done. And this gets faster with time. It gets more automatic. Like I can kind of just visualize it now in a beat of my heart, and it's just clear. But for someone in a different a state of practice, like you haven't done it a whole bunch, it's going to take a little bit of focus. So I'm a visual person, very visual, but my understanding is not everybody is visual. So if you don't feel like this visual imagery works for you, there are probably other methods that aren't visual that work for you, something better. So one of those things could be that each chakra holds a different vibration frequency, and there's a lot of binaural beats on like Spotify or whatever, or YouTube, that will be at the frequency that clears that particular chakra at that tonality. So I find too, like if I have no time to just like sit and chill, I have a tuning fork that's always in my bag at work, and I can, it's tuned to the heart chakra, and I smack it with the mallet and put it by my ear, and it feels like getting the biggest hug from the person you love the most in your life, and it just harmonizes everything right away. It's wonderful. So sometimes if you can't visualize, sound will work, and maybe it's yourself doing singing bowls. A lot of people also use movement to clear out their channels, like with dance or yoga. There's a lot of yoga poses that support clearing of a certain chakra, which is why some people, when they do yoga for the first time, they start bawling and they don't know why. It's because their heart chakra just got opened, and now they're like, ah! And they're like, I hate yoga, it's too crazy, I don't know why that. It's because it's actually making it flow through you. You want it to move through you, so, and to release it. So those are a couple of ideas. For me, what I picture is that each chakra is represented by a lotus flower of a different color, and the bottom root chakra is red, and I picture they all have a different amount of petals and beautiful symbols and Sanskrit symbols associated with that chakra, but I don't have those memorized, so I can't quite give you those names. I could read them if they were in front of me. But the root chakra has it's just like your safety, your foundation, feeling okay in your body, feeling like your needs are met, basically. So a lot of people that live in constant chaos and don't have a lot of resources, and basically all of my 20s is like root chakra distorted, which is funny because I've seen that car before. The license plate says Sisyphus, which is, the guy who rolled the rock up the hill, and as soon as he made it to the top of the hill or mountain, it would fall back down. He'd have to do it again, which is really like a representation of a lot of us in our lives of monotony and like going to work, coming home, doing laundry, doing chores, rinse and repeat kind of thing, right? It's just, so I picture the chakra, and the chakra is supposed to be moving, spinning properly. So have you ever seen one of those sprinklers that goes like this, and it's got like some squares that go like, they're like, it's safe, Audrey, while you're driving. I'm actually stuck in traffic, so they're in differing directions, so it looks kind of like a flower, and when you turn it on, it spins and it creates this beautiful flow of water. That's like the energy channel. And if you were to step on the hose, it would get backed up, but it's on, and you're like, why isn't it sprinkling like it's supposed to? But then honestly, my daughter was stepping on the hose last week, and it wasn't going. I'm like, why isn't it going? And then she lets her foot off of it. This is all intentional, and it just like soaks me with water. Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte. That's great. But it's like that with your chakra system. It's a channel that should be moving well, but it's blocked, and you need to open the blockage for it to flow properly. So what I do is I check in to see if it's moving. Like, is it spinning or is it stuck? And I'll like try to move it with my brain, with my little clairvoyant third eye. And if it's like going kind of like a lawnmower that's trying to start but it won't hit and go, you know, you've heard that before, where you just keep pulling the string and it just doesn't do anything. If that's the case, I actually picture like the flower is a little door and it opens. It's gonna sound gross, but this is how it happens. It's like a cavernous skin cave of the human body. I look inside to see what's clogging it. And sometimes I see in symbols all the time. So sometimes it could look like a clogged drain that you just snaked, and now there's like all this like hair and mucus and disgusting stuff coming out, and I'm like, ew, like that. Or I've had like moths come out and like spider webs, and I will take a little, this is all in my head, but it's very real, vacuum hose in there, and like at the car wash, and just like hose out all of the cobwebs. Or one time I opened it and a lot of little origami things came out. I'm like, what the frick? So sometimes it's really interesting how creative, for me, that imagery can be of what it represents. Sometimes it's like tar, black tar, or I think there's been like puffs of rainbow chalk powder, like all sorts of stuff, right? So I will clean it out. And whenever you take something out of your body, you want to fill it in with something that's just pure light. And so if I clean out anything or cut or pull cords out of myself that are attachments to other energies, which I'll get into in a different video, is that you want to just fill it with light, because empty space gets filled, and it gets filled with the closest thing that is looking for a spot to settle. And if that is you and it is dark, now you have a migraine. Now you are susceptible to getting a cold or whatever it is. It just makes your field weaker, or it can actually mess you up pretty badly and stick with you for years and years and years. For instance, that happened to me once, but like with 12. That's a different story for a different day. However, once it is empty, the cavernous skin cave is empty and cleaned out, I always bring in universal white light from source energy. I usually take it from, visually in my head, the sun. I pull it in to my left hand is receptive in the feminine, and then I project it into that area from my right hand, fill it up with light, watch my whole body fill up with like gold glitter out through my pores. I'm lit up, all is well. And that's when everything is moving properly. I do that with every single chakra, but I make sure that it's spinning when I'm done. So if I've done all the work, boom, it's done, and I look to see if it's spinning. If it's not spinning, I'm like, gosh darn it. Sometimes, and I go back to the drawing board. And sometimes I bring in like a higher dimensional being like Metatron, like my tattoo of Metatron's cube. Metatron is a alchemist, basically, archangel that transmutes things that are dark into healed light things. And there's a lot more about Metatron, but that's a basic gist. So I'll just bring in Metatron to clear out whatever is gunked up, and usually it's like boom, like that. So I'm sure there's easier ways to do that other people have discovered. This is all just kind of self-guided and through intuition, and I think largely most people have a process that they go through to clear their channels. So once I'm done with that, then I decide what do I want? Sometimes it's a lot like when I do an oracle reading or a tarot reading, is like, sometimes there's a specific question, like, what do I do about blank? Because I don't know what to do. Because my ego brain is all analyzing everything, and I have no access to my feelers, and it's all just a jumbled mess. And so I'll ask maybe something specific. I think that last week I was asking something specific about like my third eye vision had a lot of static in it. Like I usually see like clear things, and it was all staticky, like it had a static filter over it, like a television screen. And I was like, why? Why is it staticky? And it was the source I was channeling from was at a different vibrational frequency. So it was basically like radio signals were crossed, and I had to tune myself to the frequency of what I was channeling. And I was told how to do that, and then the static went away. So it can be a specific question, probably not that one, or it can be just general, like, what do I need to know right now? And then I will get a channel from either my highest self, like my higher self, which is already like healed and somewhere happily enjoying something. I assume coffee. I assume my higher self has some access to coffee. It would be cruel if she didn't. Or I'm also, I will channel like whoever is at the frequency of the answer that I need will show up. So that could be any guide, any master, any whatever. So that being said, I think that I will channel a message for the remainder of my drive home. And because this is for my Polishing Marbles channel, and because it's probably, I'm assuming, for viewers that are not going to understand a lot of really advanced stuff, I think that it'd be cool to ask for a general reading of what might be helpful for people to know about the world today, and like so many unknowns and what have you, from whatever source is wanting to talk to me right now. And it's Gaia. Okay. I'm going to be seeing things in this channel instead of speaking. I'm probably going to speak at another time. But so Gaia shows up to me as this kind of flowy elemental being that is all the elements all at once. Like, it's a female form, and she's ocean that's moving, and her hair is like weeping willows with birds and twigs and squirrels, and she's got a lot of green and blue, and she's just all things. Like, she moves constantly, and like her skin is bark, and then it's sand, and she's always, it's like all the things you can find on the planet, she's constantly moving. And she looks a lot like a betta fish in a bowl, like silken, like how scarves look in the water. She's kind of like dancing like this. I think it's a welcoming dance. Okay. It looks like, have you seen in a rom-com when somebody is on a dance floor and trying to coax someone else onto the dance floor? So they're like, come here. She's doing that right now. Okay, so she's showing me there's a neighborhood park that I walk around, and in the evenings, this particular park, when I walk around the circle path around like the grass, there are houses all around it, and the houses, some of them have their blinds open, others don't. It's a really lovely, safe neighborhood. And most people in that neighborhood have very large screen televisions, and they're on. And so when I walk around, I'm not like peeping into people's houses, but I can see they're definitely watching television. And that's like all of them are watching television in the evening. Kind of just like copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Like Pleasantville. And a lot of them, I remember one night, were crime shows. She's showing me that. So it's taking in a lot of information about narratives that the world's unsafe. And so she's taking a sledgehammer to the televisions, and she is asking for people to come dance with her. So now she's showing me her earth, and it's covered in plastic wrap. So when I see the earth in these visions, it's usually like size changes in visions. So the earth isn't like as big as it is now. It's the size of a basketball. And so she's showing me the earth kind of in the ethers, and it's like wrapped up in saran wrap, and it's tight and twisted, and I'm seeing like people like little tiny people walking on it, but their feet aren't touching the ground. It's all covered. Now I'm seeing a laminator laminating pressed flowers and leaves, and then someone trying to smell it. And it doesn't smell like anything but plastic because it's been laminated. So she's letting me know that a lot of people are detached from her, and she really wants to, she's showing just like a huge running embrace between old friends, and she wants to be reunited. And she's showing me also like this is not a commentary about anyone specific, but she's showing me, so I'm middle-aged, I am, and it's showing me just like after you've worked for a couple of decades, you're tired. And so it's showing me like a couple of middle-aged people, and they're like kind of like their posture is hunched over, and they look like they have circles under their eyes, and they look really sad and just like tired, and they're just trudging along really slow. Like each step is like cement blocks on their feet. And she's acknowledging that everybody is tired, and this is why the plastic is over the earth. Oh, it's multifaceted. So the earth actually rejuvenates us and gives us energy, but people are too tired from everything that they're having to do to go into nature to rejuvenate. So they're just like basically like falling over on their couches when they're done with work, which is so true. And now she's showing me the traffic I'm in. Like it takes up so much time to just drive home. And she's showing me that it's like been set up that way to be detached. So like it's set up to like we're tired because of working so much, and we persist in that exhaustion because we work so much. But we do all that because we're detached from that source energy, and also detached from like the nourishment that she provides that is innate and free. And I'm seeing a lot of harvest time, like, and now my like garden, the zucchini is just ridiculous, because that's how it is in Idaho. Once you have a zucchini plant, you're just in for like being buried alive in zucchini. And it's just like this cornucopia of constant giving, and I'm seeing that with her. I'm seeing like berries and melons and tomatoes and just like all of this that she's just bestowing, and it doesn't cost anything, and it's just giving to nourish her babies, which are us. And I like, my subconscious just asked her, but aren't you mad at us because we kind of suck and we're totally filling up landfills with garbage? And she's like, your kids piss you off sometimes, but you still love them. And you hope that you hope and believe they're going to get it one day and appreciate it, like what you give them. That's just like teenagers. No offense to my daughter, but it's just like teenagers. They take and take and take and take and take, but they don't yet have the awareness that, oh, I'm not nice and totally trashing everything. Like, they don't have the awareness of that until they struggle a little bit. And I'm seeing that some of that struggle is like natural disasters or things like that, losing access to some of these things that we've taken for granted, that were given to us freely before all that. There's like tension there that's going to make us appreciate, and it takes hardship sometimes for us to appreciate things that we have. Like, I know as a young adult, I lived in crappy apartments that didn't have air conditioning, and come July, I definitely appreciated all those summers of my life where I had air conditioning and didn't even know I could appreciate it because I had never gone without it, kind of thing. And now she's doing the dance thing again. Come dance with me. So she is acknowledging the hardship it is in our current reality to have energy to go and commune with her, but she's showing me, like, just putting your bare feet on the ground, like the earth, or in water, or laying in the sun for like 10 minutes at lunchtime, just your face. It's like it's filling your face with gold glitter of energy from the sun, and your feet, it's showing like these energetic roots that are coming. And so you know how the tree in general somehow pulls sap upwards. It like is anti-gravitational. It pulls sap upwards, and it's able to like go like this with its nourishment. It's doing that to a human being through their feet. Like, it's going, and you're getting all of this like perfect golden sap coming up and nourishing you through your energetic channels from that. It's going out into leaves, and it's just blossoming, and it's strong. So, feet on the earth, the sun on your face, but just like even just short periods of time. And also hearing birds and squirrels and things, that's actually like vibrationally tuning you to her frequency. If you are with the animals, don't have that same stress that like we have. They're not trudging to work every day and worried about that stuff. They're just not. So they're really in harmony with her. And so if we hear their sounds, it calms us because it's at that vibrational frequency. So grounding with your feet, hearing the sounds of nature on your face, the sun. And there's one more thing. The breath is the element of air, and the oxygen is created with her life. And so bringing in with, like, not just in your homes. She has a problem with air conditioning. Wow, everything just went green for a second. That's great. With my eyes, that's crazy. Everything went green. She has a real problem with air conditioning. She's like, that's not air. That's not air. She wants you to breathe outside, not just inside. Like, you need to go outside and breathe. Like, if by a plant, like a tree, ideally. So, like, perfect to like Buddha, sit under a tree, hear the little squirrelies being squirrely, and like root into the ground face direction of the sun, and you're just like, I'm seeing the whole toral field of energy go like this, which is like the clear field. That's awesome. It's like, boom, that's your medicine. That's what you need to do. And she wants to dance. Still, she wants to dance. So it's not just being out with her. You need to move your body. Dance with her. Dance in her spaces. I'm seeing like people splashing in streams with the kicking up their feet and laughing. I'm seeing like friends dancing around a fire in a campground. Like, dance with her. Dance. I'm also seeing drumming circles because the rhythm is a sound frequency that roots. It's deeper, so it roots. I'm still seeing green. Sorry. That's gonna get cut out probably by social media. But it's the lower vibrational frequency of the drumming actually roots. It's the root chakra, and it roots you to the earth through the sound. That's so cool. She says, don't forget to look at the stars. Okay, I'm gonna thank her. She kissed me on the nose. Kind of close that out with gratitude. That was a really beautiful message from Gaia. I also definitely channel through direct language, but that wasn't what was preferred today, so not by me. It's preferred to do visuals. So I would love to hear thoughts or synchronicities or alignments, especially. That's always fun. And I have so much gratitude for having accessibility to these things. It's really, really cool. Yeah, more later.